All right, guys, let's have a real conversation. So go ahead and pull up a chair, grab yourself a drink, some coffee or some hot cocoa, and let's get into it because this one is coming straight from the gut. Okay. All right. So you good? All right. Let's do this. So, there's a whole generation of us, millennials, right? Who we grew up basically just raising ourselves, right? And here's the thing: this isn't about throwing our parents under the bus, okay? It's about calling out a reality that a lot of us feel, right? But maybe not have had the words to say. And so yeah, our parents' generation, the boomer generation, they did a lot of things. Oh, they did a lot of things. They built a lot of stuff, but for many of us, they also they left us to figure everything out on our own, right? And like I said, it's just to preface, this isn't about blame. It's about looking around and saying, you know what? We grew up in homes where maybe nobody was really home. Okay. I mean, yeah, sure that they fed us, they housed us, but a lot of them didn't really think about what happens when that kid turns 20, 25, 30, right? They didn't think about the world that they were handing over or the tools that we need. No. And yeah, and we are this generation of men just looking around and wondering, you know, why do we feel like we've been set adrift? Right? So, let's just lay this out here. The boomer generation, for all their achievements, they kind of dropped the ball, when it came to raising a lot of us. And, yeah, like I said, they gave us a roof over our heads, they gave us food, but they didn't give us a map of any kind. We had to figure out, our own way, and learn what it means to be a man in a world that's just it's changing faster than they ever even imagined. We had to outsource our manhood elsewhere because we weren't getting it at home. And I know a lot of you feel this. You feel like you were just left to fend for yourself. And yeah, you were. A lot of you were. I mean, and like I said, this isn't about making villains out of our parents. Okay, it's about just being honest that a lot of them they didn't prepare us for the world that we walked into. They didn't, and now it's on us to figure it out. To look each other in the eye and say, yeah, dude, you're not crazy for feeling this way. It actually happened. That this is what we're going through. And so that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to just discuss how this generation of men just ended up raising themselves, right? And how we found our own way and what we do now that we're here in this spot. Okay? We've been here for a while because here's the truth. I mean, we're the ones who have to break that cycle. Right? We're the ones who have to say it stops with us. We're going to be the fathers who show up, right? We're going to be the men who actually think ahead, right? So yeah, if you're sitting there feeling, that fire in your gut, that recognition, like I'm speaking right to you, that's because I am. Because we all know it, we all lived it, and now we get to be the ones to change it. Right. So let's dive into this. Okay. Let's talk about, how we got here and what we can do about it and why it's really not too late to rewrite that freaking story. Okay. Because at the end of the freaking day, this is about just truth. It's about what is. It's about saying out loud what a lot of men have felt for a very long time. Right. It's about finally doing something about it. Okay. So let's break down the what happened before we got here, right? Because by the time that we came into the picture, this little thing called the sexual revolution happened. Okay, it had already done its thing, and birth control changed the game entirely. It separated sex from consequences, and that itself had shifted how relationships worked. Okay, marriage it became less about permanence and more about preference. And what did that do to us? Well, it left a lot of men just growing up in a world where commitment was optional, right? And stability wasn't guaranteed, right? We were told that it was all about freedom, but it also left a lot of us just feeling lost and disconnected, right? we didn't break the old rules. We grew up in the aftermath. And that means we had to figure out how to navigate relationships and build stability in a world that just it kept changing its rules, right? And that's a whole conversation on its own. But I just wanted to touch on, the fact that that's the thing. A lot of things in the past shaped our world now. A lot of things that people do, like a lot of people don't think about or talk about. A lot of millennials might not even have heard of the sexual revolution. They were, not really. I mean, they didn't teach that to us in school. So at least not, they didn't frame it the way that it needed to be framed. But, they didn't teach us that. But they also didn't teach us about, they didn't really teach us the reality of money either. Because here's the thing about money or I should say currency, because there's a huge difference between money and currency. What we have is currency. But yeah, it used to be money. But yeah, back in the 70s, Nixon, he took the dollar off the gold standard. So gold is money. And the dollar, when it was tethered to gold, it was still money, but now it's currency. Okay, it's the petrodollar. And so it changed everything for us. It did. Money stopped being tied to something real, and it just became numbers on a screen at that point, right? And that means inflation took off and wages stagnated. And then suddenly, the dream of, the American dream of owning a home and building wealth, it became a lot more complicated, as you are now living through. But yeah, I mean, instead of being raised to accumulate assets, we were raised to manage debt, a lot of it. And that shift wasn't something that we chose. It was just the world that we inherited. So that's why many of us ended up feeling like we were always just playing catch up. Because yeah, you can't outwork monetary policy. Okay, so yeah, we got screwed there. And then of course, a lot of us, we grew up in church, right? Right. I grew up in the Bible Belt in Texas. So yeah, there was just the culture, right? The old Protestant, non-denominational evangelical life. But yeah, and the church was supposed to be that, that moral anchor, right? But over time, I mean, we started seeing a huge disconnect, because that's the thing is even in church, I mean, it was just in lockstep with the state and with just all these institutions that don't love us back. All right, they don't have our best interest in mind. But yeah, men were taught to be neutered and be gentle and patient, to be the bigger person. Even when the system didn't really, like I said, have our back. And then that created a lot of confusion about authority and who really holds the power. Right? We saw men lose their homes and their families and their dignity, all while being told to stay calm and forgiving, and it's a tough reality. And it definitely shaped how we see authority and trust. I mean, just the whole happy wife, happy life. I mean, that's just the classic boomer right there, the classic married dad. It's just the happy wife, happy life guy. And that completely just gave us the wrong they gave us the wrong information. They didn't help us out. Okay. They didn't make things better for us. We already had, media screwing us up, but then they didn't really do any better. They just reinforced those same things that Disney and Nickelodeon did to us. So yeah, I mean, like we grew up, like TV raised us, a lot of us, right? Disney, it showed us that men, were supposed to be, to sacrifice quietly and to pedestalize women. I mean, we were just, Nickelodeon, made dads to look like fools, and boys to be buffoons. I mean, we learned to apologize and to put women on pedestals, and that definitely shaped how we approach relationships. Okay, we were set up for failure in relationships because of the TVs in our living rooms, and then the churches that we went to, and the pastors on those pulpits. We were, like I said, it was all in lockstep. I mean, the system did its work on us, and Yeah, we did not. That's the thing is our parents, they didn't realize that the world that we were inheriting wasn't the world that they got. Right? A lot of them were very naive and ignorant to the reality of the things in the past that are going to come and bite our ass once we become adults. That hadn't quite, maybe they felt the ripple effect a little bit, but we really felt it afterwards, because relationships between men and women are way different than they were back when our parents met each other, right? My parents met each other in college. So yeah, let's talk about college, shall we? Let's get into that, because we were told, that going into university was the golden ticket to success, right? That conventional BS, But here's the thing: what they didn't tell us was that signing on the dotted line at 18, it meant that we were instantly in debt, even before we got our first job. I mean, it's just that's the thing. It's just we were told, we were still told that go to college. You're not going to be worth anything if you don't go to college. I mean, kids were constantly pushed that. We were constantly pushed to go to college. And yeah, I mean, it worked out for some of them, but it's just, I mean, at the end of the day, universities, they're a debtor factory. And then they create communists and they create debtors. That's what they do, right? And the moment that they just started handing out student loans like candy, that's when things got really kittywampus. I mean, they started charging obscene rates. I mean, just the tuition just exploded, right? And then they started just, all these DEI, positions started happening. It just got out of control, right? But yeah, I mean, instead of coming out ready to conquer the world, I mean, we came out with a mountain of debt and a job market that didn't line up with the degrees, right? A lot of them are just useless. And, we weren't taught how to do an ROI analysis to really, figure. I mean, it's pretty simple when you think about it. You just gotta, you gotta figure out what you want to be when you grow up. And and then once you do, does it require any college? And if it does, okay, well, how much is that job going to pay? And how much is it going to take for me to get this degree? How much time, how much money? And, that's the thing, is if it's going to cost you six figures to get a job, maybe get a job that pays, I don't know, 35, 40, 50K. I mean, is that really worth it? No, it's not. But yeah, you got all these people, they jump into general studies because they figure out as they go. I didn't do that. I went into community college in my mid-20s, into like website design development. Didn't really enjoy that. Then I tried some other stuff, but I got out before I had too much debt. I had like less than 10K in debt. So not too bad on my end, but a lot of millennials, they're just up to their eyeballs in debt. They got 5-6 figures of debt, like worth of debt. It's insane. But I mean, but of course, yeah, I mean, the American dream, of owning a home. I mean, that's just, I mean, let's talk about housing and wages here. So, I mean, like our parents, they could buy homes with one income, but by the time that we came along, that was becoming increasingly impossible. I mean, just housing prices have shot up, they keep going up, and wages have remained flat, right? So yeah, owning a home, it started to feel like a distant dream, right? I mean, because two income households is now the norm. I mean, it started to be more the norm when we were kids. I mean, a lot of us still had, like our dad was working, our mom was home, but I had a little bit of both. At first, my dad was out working, my mom was home, but then eventually, as we got older, she went out into the workforce as well. But yeah, I mean, we just, we had to, as we got older, we had to juggle more, right? And any dream of stability, it kind of just slipped away, right? But I mean, also, I mean, let's talk about the constant state of crises that we grew up in. I mean, just the constant state of crisis. You know, we had the Gulf War, Iraq, 9/11, Afghanistan, all that stuff. You know, we grew up watching these events unfold. I mean, I saw the second. I mean, I saw 9/11 live on television. I was 16. I was a junior in high school, and so I watched it on TV. So, and that's all that happened that day. It was just we didn't do anything but watch it on television all day, and then we got picked up by our parents, and then everybody was flipping out. Gas prices were going up to $1.35, and so everybody was lining up to get gas. I mean, it was a very scary day. I mean, I was only like I said, I was only 16, so I was kind of freaking out inside. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's just all this geopolitical nightmare, you know. Um, so I mean, there was all that going on. We were raised in the midst of all this crisis and war, um, and then yeah, not to mention financial instability with the dot-com bubble bursting, and then the 2008 financial crisis. I mean, and then I was in my early 20s when that happened in 2008. So, I mean, that just further destabilized our futures. And that's when, Ben Bernanke at the Federal Reserve, dropped interest rates to zero and just started doing quantitative easing, just printing money like it's no tomorrow. And then the banks got bailed out. And now we're now the chickens are coming home to roost. So, but before I get into that reality that we're facing now, I mean, I just want to briefly touch on, I don't want to overlook how we were treated in school. I mean, I've talked about this plenty of times. If you want something more in depth, I do have videos on that. But I mean, boys who were naturally energetic and curious, I mean, we were often just medicated, right? Instead of encouraging instead of being encouraged to channel that energy, we were told, to suppress it, and that something was wrong with us. They pathologized our natural behavior. And that kind of treatment, it left a mark. I mean, it influenced how we approached life and how we understood ourselves. I mean, if our true nature is it becomes a diagnosis, then I mean, how do you think that's going to destroy our identity as we get older, as we become adults? I mean, it fractures your identity. It does. It really does. I mean, so yeah, I mean, I just kind of want to just rapid fire through all these things that we've gone through. That it's just like, I feel like the boomers just don't were you not awake? Like while all this was happening, did you not see what we had to see and endure and how we were treated? I mean, and we were just kind of set up to fail in a lot of ways. But I mean, here we are, man. In 2025, we're standing at the crossroads of a generation. I mean, the future isn't what it used to be, right? And right now we're seeing prices just sky high. Food prices, jobs are just disappearing. People are getting laid off right and left. AI is just completely reshaping the landscape, and we're still trying to wrap our minds around it. It's just insane. I mean, on top of all that, we've got geopolitical tensions, wars, inflation that's out of control, and just debasing the currency. I mean, our national debt, it's almost 40 trillion. And let's not forget about the unfunded liabilities. And, gold prices it's over $4,000. I mean, that's just silver. I mean, gold is a barometer for chaos. So it's just whenever gold is that expensive, when it's that high, it means that nobody trusts the currency. So it's not a good sign, right? But yeah, that's the thing, is like the stability that previous generations took for granted it's falling apart. Okay. And as millennials, I mean, we're not stepping into a predictable future. We're navigating a world that is unpredictable and unstable. We're facing challenges that previous generations didn't have to deal with. Okay? Unless maybe, it was a previous generation in like Weimar Germany or something. Then yeah. I mean, they had to, that's the thing, is like, I mean, they had to, I'd say the more accurate statement is that it's like the fourth turning. Is everything is cyclical. I mean, we are going to be experiencing, the Great Depression all over again. The things that our grandparents, we're gonna our future is gonna be more akin to that than what the boomers had. Okay, the boomers, they were in paradise, right? So, but yeah, I mean, and then our grandparents, they went through hard times, and then things got better for them, and then things got better for their kids, and then boom, and then here we come into the picture, and just things are just on fire. But yeah, I mean, we are facing a lot of hard challenges. That's the thing, is we were not taught how to deal with these things. I mean, if you're a student of history, of real history, then yeah, you have you have a head start for sure, and you're going to be more resilient and resourceful and innovative. But yeah, I mean, there is a chance for us, after, because a lot of this stuff is just going to come to an end. I mean, we are seeing the end of the post World War II system, honestly. But there is a chance for us to rebuild and redefine what the future looks like, and it's not going to be easy whatsoever. But it's going to be what it's not going to be what we expected. But that's the thing, is like, that's the journey that we're on now. That's what we're having to deal with and face. And yeah, this world, it is very bleak and very dark and depressing in a lot of ways. I mean, just when you're, when there's, I wouldn't say there's been any job security really for a long time, but I mean, yeah, sure, jobs used to be more stable, but I mean, now it's just, you can't really hang your hat on anything, it's just, yeah, there's a lot of, like I said, we're in a very unpredictable, unstable future. And I think that we need to just embrace the challenges ahead of us. Let's be the generation that adapts, that pushes forward, and that builds something meaningful, even when the path isn't clear. Because I mean, that's the thing, is at the end of the day, like we can either just stay in our living rooms and be sedated and just succumb to this depression or whatever it is, this numbness. I mean, or we could just, press forward. And yeah, I mean, it's terrifying. I understand that. And a lot of you have families, and there's a lot, you're trying to just, I mean, for the men that do have families, they're trying to just you're trying to keep your head above water, and you're trying to provide the best life that you can. And that's the thing, is just, you need to be, just be what your parents weren't to you. Yeah. Don't repeat what the boomers did. And then of course, like I said, I mean, our landscape is a lot different than theirs. Okay. And some of them are going to acknowledge that. And some of them are I'm sure I'm going to get plenty of boomers in my comment section that are going to, they're going to be boomers, but there's some cool ones out there. And then and then I feel like Gen Xers, they kind of get it, a lot of them. And so, but yeah, I mean, yeah, things suck. They're going to continue to suck, and they're going to keep sucking before they stop sucking. I know that's not poignant, but it is what it is. So I think that's probably that's kind of the motto now. It is what it is, and that it is what it is. I'm not a doomer. I'm not trying to black pill you. I'm just trying to, highlight the truth. I'm trying to put a spotlight on what's what. It is what it is. And yeah, 2025 to 2030, it's going to be a shit show. It is. And I don't know what it's going to look like at all. None of us do. And it's going to be a rough landing. We're in a plane that is on fire. One of the wings fell off. The tail is all crumbling. And yeah, we are, it's not looking good. Okay. It's looking pretty bad. It's going to be a fiery inferno, but something has to be rebuilt from those ashes, from the wreckage. Because that's the thing, is that, we don't need their great reset. We need our own. There needs to be a hard reset, of course. I mean, we can't just blow in the cartridge and fix it. We got to reset the Nintendo, if you know what I mean. I mean, it's just a lot of these systems, they just have to but they're designed to collapse. They just need to collapse. I mean, that's the thing. It's just, it has to play out. And that's the thing is it's terrifying, and it's also a good thing that these old systems expire so that can make way for new innovations and to escape the tyranny that they're trying to place before us. I understand that they're trying to replace these systems with other systems that we don't want, because it's going to further enslave humanity. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is there's a lot of us, and we are able to do something about it, is what I'm saying. So yeah, it is what it is, but it's not always going to be like this. What is it going to be like? I don't know. But life is a video game, and just try and have fun with it if you can. Okay? All right.